Happy Homebrew Wednesday, everybody. SJ Poor here at Little Face Brewing. This is the Two Dogs Irish Red. Drinking fantastic. Let's get to it, shall we? Last week I put out a video, Homebrew Wednesday Thoughts. That video had to do with getting your take on homebrewing as a hobby, where it's going, what keeps you in it, what got you out of it, what might keep you in it, and just what's your thoughts in general. And I got a lot of really good responses on the video, and we had a bunch of, there was a couple response videos as well. So first off, I want to do some shout outs to the folks that actually commented on this video, and that's K Brewing 4300, Micro Sessions Brewing, Bitter Reality Brewing, G6 Rick, Simon Geitz 2431, Big Banana Brewing, Finaroo Home Brewing, Mr. John S. or 626, The Dean's List Home Brewery, J. Hoover Brewer, Brookside Brews 6114, R. Whitson, so it's RWHITENZ, Clements Homebrew, HP Lovecraft 05, Jagar 538, and of course, it's Complicated Watches, better known as Bitter Poet Madman. Oh, that fly was so close, so close. Anyways, I have a fly flying around here, but we're going to get through it. We are. Bottom line, kind of what I've saw here as a synopsis through some of these is, one, is homebrewing really in a decline, or is it a perception? Because we're not seeing as many homebrew videos. Very good point. Asking, has the sales of homebrew stuff dropped off? Well, I do know that the sales for homebrew, the mom and pops, because those stores they're shutting down across this country at an alarming rate. So that part of the industry is taking a beating. So we know that part. Now, online sales, they might be pretty strong, so I don't know the answer to that part of the question, but I do know that brick and mortars, they're not surviving. As far as YouTube videos, very good point, because I was like, you know what? Maybe they got a point there, because I don't see as many videos as I used to. Well, some of that is probably because the folks that I've been watching for as long as I've been watching, have been doing this as long as me, they're not doing it as often. So they themselves have declined on the video part of it. And I was like, well, maybe he's on to something there. And that came from Co-Brewing 4300. And so as I was going through and looking at these people, I found a bunch of videos and a bunch of new channels on homebrewing. So I need YouTube to do a better job at the algorithms of giving me homebrew related videos, because you're not, and this goes out to you, YouTube, you're not giving me the videos that I want to see. So I did a bunch more subscriptions. I went to channels that I've been subscribed to, but they haven't been popping up on my feed, and they're making videos, and there's no reason for that to happen. So that's on YouTube. They need to do a better job. One of the other common threads throughout the comment section was health, and we're all getting a little bit older. Well, yeah, you're right. I'm not drinking near as much as I used to. I'm not brewing near as much as I used to. And we have to be a little bit more health conscious. Sometimes I wonder, is it really the beer, or is it everything else we're doing? This thing here and the computers I have surrounding me keeps me sitting on my fat ass. A lot more than I think my father did when he was 58 years old. Matter of fact, I know that as a fact. So is it really, the beer that's getting us out of shape, or is it society that's getting us out of shape? So that's a good question to be putting out to you folks, because I know some folks that are, still brewing and enjoying their beer, and they're in great shape. Mike Dean, for instance, he's an animal, and he's not that far behind me, and I see a bunch of other folks, and I know my stress from my job and everything else, doesn't help. Today's society just doesn't help us with that. We're drinking beer to cope. You know what I'm saying? Tell you what. So you have the health aspect of it. Like me, I'm trying to lose a couple pounds, getting older. Injuries. Some folks have had some major injuries over the last couple years, and doesn't allow them to be picking up stuff like a 5-gallon bucket of water, hot water. That ain't easy to do. That's hard. You got to pick it up and dump it and not get burnt and not throw your back out and all that jazz. So I get that as well. That's why I built my system, because I don't want to be picking things up all the time. Homebrew clubs. There's not as much of they're not as readily available, to folks. So that's a reason why folks have, either not gotten into the hobby or have gotten out, because, brewing is fun to do with people. Some of my most fun brew days are with a group. It's just a blast. I love brewing in a crowd. If hell, you could pay me to get on stage and brew beer for folks, I'd do it for a living. I'd do it in a heartbeat. Not a problem. So, there's that. There's time. The amount of time that it takes, that if you're younger and you have kids, and you don't want to devote a whole day to brewing, you need to spend that with your kids. Yeah, that makes sense. There are ways around that. There's overnight mashing. Laramore22, go to his channel. My God, he's the king of overnight mashes. He'll do a mash when he gets home Friday and get up Saturday morning, and he's done brewing. He's texting me by noon. I'm done. I'm all cleaned up, put away, drinking a beer. So there's ways around that, that you can get them in. Homebrew supply stores, we kind of touched on that earlier. There are not as many of them around as what used to be, and that's a shame. It breaks my heart to see that. COVID. Funny thing about COVID is when COVID first came out and we all fell for the lockdown, the online stores could not fill orders fast enough. And I know that is fact because I was still talking to them at that point. And but I don't think that's the case as much anymore. So I think you had a bunch of folks that got into it, or was into it and hadn't been brewing for a while. I was like, well, what else am I going to do? Might as well brew. Hell, I built a brewery, So COVID, while it happened, it probably was a big boost to the industry, and then did not hold on, and it just died off. Amount of hobbies. A lot of folks have a lot of different hobbies. I'm also one of those. I like to tinker, so those are some of the reasons. Please keep the video, keep the comments coming, keep the response videos coming. I know there's a couple here that we're going to put a video out. I know Mike Dean did, so go to the Dean's List Brewery. Finaroo Homebrewing, I have to check his out. Big Banana, Bitter Reality Brewing. I knew they were all going to do one. I hope that Leo does one. I'd like to see what his thoughts are on it as well. So yeah, so there you have it. That's kind of my response on the response request. So there you have it, folks. Keep it going. Let's keep homebrew alive. This is a great topic to keep going. So this is SJ Port, Little Face Brewing. Enjoy the fruits of your labor, folks. Brew beer. Brew wonderful beer.